Dear colleagues, dear journalists, Ukraine Crisis Media Center continues its work. Now we start a press conference that is called announcement of the short list of nominees for Drahoman Prize 2020. I have honor to present our today's speakers. Volodymyr Sheiko, General Director of the Ukrainian Institute, member of the jury of this prize. Tatiana Teren, Executive Director of Ukrainian Pen Club and coordinator of the jury of this prize. Valentyna Stukalova, Manager of Book and Intellectual Projects of the French Institute and a member of the jury of the prize. Also, we have Oleksandra Koval, director of the Ukrainian Institute, but unfortunately, due to technical reasons, she won't be able to join. This prize is really important. It is unique. It is a unique example of cooperation of the three institutions, two state institutions that tell to the world about Ukraine, the Book Institute and the Ukrainian Institute and the Ukrainian PEN, international organization that protects the rights of authors and establish cultural dialogue among the countries. And we will present the names of those translators who are included in the shortlist. But first, we are going to speak about the importance of this prize, why it is important, and we speak about submissions. We presented this prize in September, and we will tell you about the translators. Tetyana, please tell us more about the importance of this prize and about the number of people who applied. First of all, I would like to thank Ukraine Crisis Media Center because this is our second event here about this prize. The Drahoman Prize was first presented here in this hall in September 2020, and I reminded to our viewers that it was established by three institutions, by the Ukrainian Institute, Ukrainian PEN, and the Ukrainian Institute of Books. This is a very important prize for our culture when two state institutions and NGO got united to implement joint idea, very important initiative. Also, it is important to say at the start that this prize for translators from Ukrainian to the languages of the world, this is an idea, an understanding that this prize should exist in Ukraine. This idea has been discussed for many, many years, and a lot was made to discuss the concept of this prize, its importance, and its significance to Ukraine and to our translators abroad. And this prize that appeared 2020, it is really the implementation of the ideas of many, many people and organizations. Speaking about our aim that united us in around this prize, I would like to say that this is our opportunity to thank those people who for many years, for tens of years, they really contributed translating Ukrainian literature. They promoted Ukrainian literature abroad. And it's a pity that for tens of years, all these people, they were just volunteers without any thanks from Ukraine. And this prize, this Drahoman Prize, this is our thank to the people who joined the long list of the Drahoman Prize. And all our nominees, they are really deserving this prize. So the first contest was carried out starting 24th of September. We announced the launch of the Drahoman Prize, and the contest lasted for a short period of time up to 30th of September. Despite these short terms, and this prize was established at the end of 2020, and we got a record number of submissions, and this is really great thing. And we analyzed them whether they correspond technical criteria, and we got our long list, and it consists of 20 translators from 14 countries of the world. I would like to mention these countries. So we got from Germany, France, Great Britain, Poland, Czech Republic, Italy, Serbia, Greece, Bulgaria, Northern Macedonia, USA, Australia, Brazil, and Lebanon. And also the languages. The number of languages is big. This is really important. I would like to mention that our nominees to get Drahoman Prize, they translate from Ukrainian into such languages of the world: English, Polish, German, Italian, French, Portuguese, Czech, Serbian, Bulgarian, Macedonian, Greek, and Arabic languages. One more important aspect, formal aspect, that should be mentioned in accordance with conditions of our prize. This translators, they should be nominated by foreign cultural and scientific institutions and unions, publishing houses, and embassies. And the members of the jury, they may also nominate translators for the Drahoman Prize. Based on the results of the first contest, we may say that the biggest number we got from the foreign publishing houses and diplomatic institutions, and also from scientific institutes that nominated the translators to get the Drahoman Prize. So the main number of today's contest is 27 nominees who are in the long list of the first contest of the Drahoman Prize. Thank you. Thank you, Tatiana, for this detailed description about the number of submissions. And today we are going to get information about the shortlist. Volodymyr, you deal with cultural diplomacy, and you had the institution on cultural diplomacy. So this is really important to speak not only about translation, but also about the cultural ambassadors, why it is so important, and this prize helps us to promote important and good image of Ukraine abroad. Thank you very much, Tetyana. One criteria we speak about today, these are not only master of translators, but also contribution of these people in promotion of Ukrainian literature abroad. Because we at the Ukrainian Institute, we believe that culture is really efficient means, and it's a media through which country may communicate itself to the world, and literature is the means through which international community may better understand Ukraine factually and culturally, and that's why we decided to include this element of cultural diplomacy in this prize, because translators, they have been always and they are cultural diplomats in the world. This work, I believe, often is underestimated. It remains not seen, and we should correct this injustice. We are not unique concerning this idea, because other countries of the world, they have state prizes for translators from their language into the foreign language. And also this is done in a non-state sector. For example, in Finland, Czech Republic, Mexico, Goethe Institute in London, for German text into English translations, and also PEN institutions in the world, they also have such prizes. And I believe it is really important to speak about the name of this prize. Drahoman is the word that was used to name translators at the diplomatic missions. So this is a dual function of the translator, as a person who translate cultural language to another language, and also ambassador function, due to which this creativity may be accessible to more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Volodymyr. My next important question. You mentioned about criteria. We all understand that in this prize you have a jury who reviews the nominants. So, Tetyana, would you please describe how you selected members of the jury? Thank you for the question. I will describe how the jury is formed. Inside the jury, we have a core of people who represent the founding organizations. That is, we had Volodymyr Sheiko, Oleksandra Koval from the Institute of Ukrainian Book, and Mr. Kurkova is the representative of the PAN Club, and these core members of jury, they further on decide whom they would like to involve during the current year. In general, the jury comprises 9 members, beside Andriy and those whom I already mentioned. We had Ms. Ola Gnatyuk, Ostap Slavinsky, Yurko Prohaska, Valentyna Stukalova, who represents the French Institute in our jury. Marco Robert Stach from abroad, and Natalka Ivanchuk, translator from Lviv. These were those members of the jury who worked hard to select the shortlist nominants. As for me, I acted as a coordinator, and what I have learned, this work with the Drahoman Prize is very much different from other prizes, because you have a lot of applicants and you have to evaluate the quality of translations in multiple languages. So at the very beginning of this work, we realized that it might be necessary to involve the experts in different languages, in different translations. We did not disclose the names of those experts, from both from Ukraine, from abroad. This year, additionally to the 9 members of the jury, we had 7 experts who contributed to the evaluation. And as far as I understand, the opinion of those experts allowed the jury to make final decisions. Yes, of course. In a moment, I would give the floor to Volodymyr, and he will describe the process. But I have to know that we had collected all the opinions from our experts, which were later discussed discussed by the jury, and the decisions were made. Volodymyr, please describe the process. This is a continuous, comprehensive, and complicated procedure, and I'm very happy that I had this chance to participate in those meaningful discussions, and I learned much from my colleagues, and it's my pleasure to describe this in more detail. I understand that for the outer observers, people cannot imagine that the selection process had to take rather long period of time, several months, and we had to rely not only on our personal opinions, but also we had to involve experts. And this is an important feature of the evaluation process, because we wanted to have a well-informed decision. Also, the jury and the experts showed maximum respect to all the applicants. Discrimination was fully excluded, and when we had doubts about the right judgments, we went deeply into the work of each translator and try to analyze the whole core of the translator's works. When the jury members had no sufficient command in the language, we involved the experts. So we paid attention at the overall work of translators. We valued very much promotion work of the translators. We paid attention at the institutions to which the translators were involved, which could promote Ukrainian literature in the world. And in my opinion, I think that we successfully produced a meaningful long list and then short list of the nominants. Okay, I can see that you successfully and almost unanimously compiled the short list. And now, would you please describe and mention those who are nominants in that short list? Ms. Stukalova. What were the criteria for selection to the shortlist, and how those candidates who were selected, how they satisfy them? My colleagues had slightly mentioned about criteria, and it seems to me that criteria were published on the website. First of all, the top proficiency in translation and personal contribution to the promotion of Ukrainian literature abroad. The jury analyzed translations which were done during the last 3 years. That is, we paid attention at the most recent translations of Ukrainian pieces. And another important requirement that those translations of the literature had to be published, at least one of those translations which were submitted for the prize, they had to be published. And of course, it was the first award of the prize, and everything was new. Of course, there are many translators of Ukrainian literature in the world, and this only made our work more complicated. So formation of the short list took some effort, but all the members of it were voted unanimously by all the jury members. And now I suggest that each jury member would present the shortlist members. I'm happy to introduce our first shortlist nominant. This is Ms. Claudia Datta from Germany. She represents Germany. Very brief presentation of Claudia. Claudia, it's a rather difficult task because Claudia has been doing much in terms of promotion of Ukrainian literature. Claudia translates Ukrainian literature into German language, but she is not just a translator, she is a manager in the sphere of culture, and she works in different genres. In 2010, she initiated foundation of Translate Association or Union in Germany, and as members of Ukrainian Pen Club, we enjoyed partnership with Translate very much. Members of that association, they discussed the issues of and aspects of translation of Ukrainian literature into German and potential promotion of it, etc. Our cooperation with Claudia was unique. She was nominated twice with two books, poetry by Sergei Zhadan, Antenna, and the novel The Tales of My Bomb Shelter. Answering the question, what is Claudia's contribution to the development of Ukrainian culture? She not just promotes it, but she represents what's going on in Ukraine today to the rest of the world. From the moment of the year 2014, when the war in Ukraine started, Claudia that devoted much attention to presentation of the actual events in Ukraine. She also contributed to translation of the collection of stories by Oleksandra and a book by Stanislav Aseyev, which recently was awarded the Shevchenko Prize in Ukraine. And I'm happy, very happy to congratulate Claudia Datta with this nomination in our short list as a Drahoman Prize. For me, it's a big pleasure to represent Ivana Latrava, who is from Czech Republic. She represents Czech Republic in our nomination this year. Perhaps you are familiar with this name, and Ivana for many years has been our big promoter of Ukrainian literature in Czech Republic. She translates from Ukrainian into Czech Republic. She's a member of the Czech Association of Ukrainian Studies, and she's also a member of the literature.cz. She was nominated to the Volodymyr Prize, classified Ukraine classified history. During the latest years, an interest to Ukraine's literature in Czech Republic had grown considerably after Oksana Zabushko's novel, The Field Research in Ukrainian Sex, which was very much welcomed in intellectual communities, communities of intellectuals in Czech Republic. This changed the paradigm of perception of Ukrainian literature as the old-fashioned one. So we clearly see that the situation with translations of Ukrainian literature changed radically. Ivana also translates for the Czech radio, she writes articles about Ukrainian literature, make literature reviews of Ukrainian literature, and collects archive materials and studies the archives related to Ukrainian history. So I believe that this is a strong candidate, a strong nominant in our shortlist, and I'm absolutely sure that Ivana deserves this prize. So we have translator from Germany, we have a translator from Czech Republic. Who is the third? Before saying the name, I have to mention again Oksana Zabushka, because the third nominant translated already Ms. Zabushka's novel. So the third nominant is Ms. Katarzyna Katyńska from the Republic, from the Polish Republic. Polish translations from Ukrainian language are quite well developed. And well represented by multiple translators, but we focused our attention on Katarzyna Katyńska, who has been working both in translation and popularization of Ukrainian literature. She is professor of Slavistics in the Polish Academy of Sciences, and she was nominated to this prize for its translation of Victoria Amelina novel, Dome's Dream Kingdom. Thank you. We have heard the names of all the three nominants in the list. We understand that this is the first year of the prize, and we expect this first years to be the most tough, because the latest years of translations saw very bright representatives in this area. By the way, all the three nominants are women, and they are from the Central Europe. Could you comment on these facts? And my next question is about a special trophy within this Drahoman Prize. You're right, the situation is quite specific this year. And by the way, we have chosen those three nominants almost unanimously. I don't think it's surprising that all our nominants from the Central Europe, because Ukraine has closer relations with its immediate neighbors, and during the latest years we witnessed a lot of cooperative partnership relations with our neighboring cultural institutions, which allowed closer cultural ties, closer platforms for communication between translators and authors. At the same time, we understand that Ukraine should focus its attention on further distances where Ukrainian literature is more weakly represented. And this has brought us across the idea of a special prize, a special trophy on the framework of this prize to stimulate development of the least translated genres like poetry, like drama, maybe. So we decided that this year we would additionally award the most niche style nominations. As for, am I right when I understand that this special trophy will be awarded this year? Yes, this will be announced during the awarding ceremony. Okay, now we have a short list, and we have heard the statement that a special prize will be announced later.
About announcement of the winner. We identified the date, 23rd of April. We do not know the format. It depends on epidemiological situation. But we hope that we will be able to hold this event offline in some form. We hope that the ceremony will be interesting for the audience. This is all we may say about the ceremony of awarding the prize. So we will follow the announcements on the sites of the institutions, Ukrainian Institute and the Ukrainian Institute of Books. There will be announcements on the site, because we understand that in pandemic years it is difficult to say whether we will do it offline or online. We know the date, 23rd of April, and there will be additional events. Tatiana, please tell us about other events connected with the prize. It's important to add that when we established, together with the Ukrainian Institute and Ukrainian Institute of Books, this prize, we understood that this should be not only a contest and a ceremony, that this would not be right, because we have an important mission. We understood that the ceremony for long list, for short list, this is only a part of our work from the start. We believe that we need to organize different events connected with the prize, some discussions, workshops, residencies, all these events and formats that may help us from one side to support translators from Ukrainian into the languages of the world, and from the other side to motivate professional community in Ukraine and abroad to discuss different issues, challenges, and problems that may arise during in the course of translation to different languages. And we started this contest a little bit late at the end of 2020, and we plan to have a number of such events in order to speak more about the situation with translations and in order to acquaint our audience with our shortlist and with our future laureate. And we believe that this prize will be awarded to a woman in April. So we do not announce the date, but we will have information about event soon. And in April, we plan a meeting with our finalists online. We would like to bring them closer to you to speak about translations, to speak about promotion of Ukrainian literature abroad. We want to have a bigger discussion about translations and maybe to speak about the history. And we want to speak about history of translation abroad. We want to speak about translations of Ukrainian classic literature. So we will speak about these issues during our discussion in April. And at the end of April, start of May, we will have a workshop, practical meeting with our laureate in order to provide information about her to professional community and students of translation. And together with Book Arsenal, we will speak about Drahoman Prize and about our wonderful nominees for Drahoman Prize 2020. Thank you. We see that there will be a number of events that were planned. We do not know whether they be held offline or online. This will depend on the situation with pandemic. Unfortunately, we do not have Oleksandra Koval today, who heads the Ukrainian Institute of Books. The Drahoman Prize is not the only prize in Ukraine that exists to support translators' work. The work to improve image of Ukraine abroad. Only in 2020, Ukrainian Institute of Books implemented programs for translation, Translate to Ukrainian is called, and in the result, we have 23 translations to 21 languages: English, Italian, French, Slovak, Polish, and also Arabic, Macedonian, and others. 24 countries of the world participated, and different institutions implemented the program. Drahoman Prize was co-founded by 3 institutions: Ukrainian PEN, Ukrainian Book Institute, and the Ukrainian Institute. And we have other programs, and it is great to have them. They all together support and promote the image of our country abroad. At that, we would like to end our press conference. If you have questions, you may ask questions to our speakers. I see that there are no questions online. So I would like to thank you for your attention, and we will continue to monitor the sites of the institutions that co-founded this prize in order to find details about the announcement of the finalists. This will happen on the 23rd of April. Later on, we will get information about events